In the previous module, you learned about solo ads, and solo ads are a part of PPC traffic, which means you pay per click. In this module, I'm going to talk about another type of traffic, which is PPV traffic. You will learn what PPV traffic is, what are the two types of PPV ads, PPV traffic providers, how you can target in PPV traffic, and how to optimize your campaign. First, what is PPV and what does it stand for? PPV stands for pay per view, and that means you pay per view, not per click. PPV is also known as CPV, which stands for cost per view. Basically, PPV works like this. The user installs a program that allows PPV network to serve ads on its computer, and that's called adware. For example, let's say the user downloaded a screensaver game or Smiles, so he agrees to their terms and conditions where they say that they will serve pop-up or in-text ads. There are two types of PPV ads. The first one is a pop-up, so when a user searches for a specific keyword or a website, a pop-up with your website appears. The second type of ad is in-text ads, and how it works is when the user is reading an article, so when the word that you are targeting shows up in the body of the text, it will be bolded and underlined, and when the user mouses over that word, your ad will show in a little light box. Let me show you an example of a pop-up ad and an in-text ad so you can see the difference between them. A pop-up ad is when a user visits a specific website. So in this example, the user visited the Space Reporter website and suddenly this pop-up shows up. As you can see in the example, it is an ad for a contest of Publishers Clearinghouse with a clear call to action. Now let's see what an in-text ad is. So this is what the in-text ad will look like. So someone is visiting this website, and as soon as your keyword shows up, the software underlines that keyword, and when the user mouses over it, this little pop-up comes up with your ad. Your ad has to be very relevant to the page that the user is browsing, so that it hopefully grabs his attention and he clicks on your ad. Also, you have to create an eye-catching call to action. That was the two types of PPV ads that you can use. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of PPV. The pros are that PPV traffic is extremely cheap, as you can get views as low as $0.002 per view. The PPV traffic is also targeted to the users. For example, if someone searched for golf, and then your ad that related to golf shows up, so that means that you have a high chance that the user will click on your ad. In my opinion, the only con of PPV traffic is that it is annoying for users because people don't like pop-ups. I mean, really, have you ever met anyone that says, "Oh, I love those pop-ups I get on my computer"? This is why you really have to offer the user something of value. Now let's get into PPV traffic providers. There are many PPV traffic providers on the internet, but I recommend you use these providers. Direct CPV is requiring low deposit compared to the other networks, so you can start testing without risk. Direct CPV is focused on internet marketing niche. So if you have an offer in the internet marketing niche, you have to test Direct CPV. They require only a $100 deposit to join. Media Traffic is another PPV provider, and it requires at least $200 to join. Add-on Network, on the other hand, is similar to Media Traffic. You have to deposit $200 to join. 50 on Red is one of the best PPV traffic these days, and their traffic is high quality, but their minimum deposit's a little high. You have to deposit at least $500 to join 50 on Red. Also, 50 on Red requires a photo ID or passport to get in. Lead Impact used to require only $200 for deposit in the past, but now it requires $1,000 to join up, so it's one of the more costly deposit PPV providers. But Lead Impact has pretty good quality, so if you have the budget, go for it. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the targeting. When you create a PPV campaign, you have to choose either using keyword targeting or URL targeting. But first, what is keyword targeting and URL targeting? Keyword targeting is when the user searches for a specific word on search engines like Google or Yahoo. So, for example, let's say the user is interested in fishing, and you are bidding for that word. So when the user types fishing in Google, your pop-up will show up to the user. Also, unlike URL targeting, you can use in-text ads in keyword targeting. So when the user is reading an article about fishing tips and the word fishing comes up in the body text, it will be underlined, and as I mentioned before, when the user mouses over the word, a light box will show up with your ad. On the other hand, URL targeting is when the user visited a specific URL that you are bidding for. For example, if the user visited fishing.com, your pop-up will show up. Unfortunately, you can't use in-text ads in URL targeting, so you can only use pop-ups. Now that you know the difference between keyword targets and URL targets, I'm going to show you how to find keyword targets first, and then URL targets. Let's start with keyword targets. To get keywords to use for your PPV campaign, first you have to type your keyword on Google. And when you type your keyword, Google will give about 9 other suggestions. So what you need to do is to copy them, then save them in a text file on your device. Another way to get keywords is to use keywordtool.io, and it's a free tool that gives you keyword suggestions. So what you need to do is type your keyword and the site will give you many suggestions. Copy them and save them in the text file that you created for Google Suggests. What you need to do now is just copy all the keywords in your text file and paste them on your PPV provider. The second thing is to get URL targets, and to get URL targets, we'll use Google also. Head to Google and search for your keyword, then open each website URL for 3 pages or so, and copy each URL off of them, and save it in a new text file like you did in the keyword targets. These websites are ranked in Google, so they get a lot of traffic every day. So we will use them to get URL targets. You can always hire somebody from Fiverr to do this work for you because it's going to take a few hours. Another great website to get URL targets is buzzsumo.com. BuzzSumo is a helpful search tool that tracks content on all social networking sites and ranks them based on the number of shares on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and Pinterest. Now you know how to find keyword targets and URL targets. So the last thing I'm going to teach you is how to optimize your campaign. Optimizing your campaign is very important when you do PPV marketing. Not all of your campaigns will be great. So what you need to do first is to choose either if you're going for short-term or for long-term campaigns. So what's the difference? Short-term is when you do a campaign for just 1 or 2 days or so. In this case, you need to look at the ranking. You'll need to become the first bidder so you get the high volume. Keep in mind that sometimes it's better to be the second or third place. Yeah, you'll get lower volume but cheaper traffic. Long-term, on the other hand, is when you do a campaign for 30 days or more. And here you have to look at the cost, not the ranking, so you have to reduce your cost. That's the difference between them, and sometimes you have to choose short-term, while on another campaign you have to go for the long-term. Lastly, I'm going to teach you what you should and shouldn't do if you're doing PPV marketing. Let's start with what to do. Do start your bid as low as possible to get the first, second, or third position, and then raise your bid when you are not the first or the second bidder. Always track your campaigns because that's an important thing to do so you can optimize your campaigns to get the best results that you want. There are many tracking programs available. CPV Lab is one of the best tracking programs. CPV Lab is the self-hosted platform for testing, tracking, and optimizing CPV campaigns, along with built-in email conversion tracking and support for other traffic sources. CPV Lab is a little expensive. It's $297 that covers all updates and upgrades for 1 year. Then continued updates are optional at $147 per year. If you're on a budget, you can start with a free tracking program, and one of the most popular free tracking programs is Prosper 202. And you can either download a standalone version to install on your own server or use theirs on their service. The next one is to split test your offers. Create more than one campaign and change only one thing, like a headline or a call to action, and then split test them to see which one converts better. Let's get into what you shouldn't do. Never give up. Not all of your campaigns will be successful, and probably if you're starting out, you will lose some money. But that shouldn't make you give up. Instead, try to improve your campaigns, and be sure that you will have great campaigns that give you good results. Don't waste your time trying to make your campaign perfect, because simply it won't. Of course, you have to improve your campaign always, but just don't take hours to do that. Launch it, and when you get results, you can optimize it. In addition, don't make just one campaign. As I mentioned earlier, you have to make more than one campaign so you can split test them later.